Hi. So it's been about a year. Most of my orchids have been switched over to semi-hydroponics in March, end of March, but March. So since I've been growing in semi-hydroponically for almost a year now, I have come to some conclusions. I have some pros and cons about growing semi-hydroponically. And then I'll show you my plants and how they're doing, which I'm sure some of you have already seen my videos, so you know how a lot of my plants are doing. Pros, let's go over the pros first. For me in my environment, now this is where it's going to get a little different for certain people, but where I live, we get lots of snow. All right? So, I live in the high mountains, and it can be pretty cold. My house isn't, well, it's insulated, but not as well as some houses. So, cool growers have done much better for me in my environment than warm growers like Vandas and Phalaenopsis. So, for me, semi-hydroponics has been great for my cool growing orchids, and Melatoniopsis being in particular. Like, they already did well for me, but they really, really kicked butt in the semi-hydro. Now, for you, maybe if you live in Florida, you might find that it works for all of your plants. It's really going to depend on your environment. I just did my hair. You can't really overwater semi-hydroponics because it just drains. It just goes right through. The medium doesn't get compact, it doesn't break down over time, so it always is going to drain the same way it did from the beginning. So you can really water every day and it'll be fine. I do like to let my plants dry out a little bit just because it's what I do and I'm lazy sometimes. But you can't overwater, so it takes the guesswork out of watering. And that's the next one, takes the guesswork out of watering. Say, you know, there's the old saying goes, it's better to underwater than to overwater. So, you know, maybe you forgot that you watered your cattleya yesterday. You're like, oh, did I water it? Did I not water it? But you can water it. It's not going to hurt. Where before, with the old medium, moss and bark, you had to be really careful because it was really easy to rot their roots. And repotting. Repotting is actually really easy with semi-hydroponics, and it's low stress on the plant. You're not ripping the roots, you're not trying to remove the media, you're basically just going bloop and fill. Boom, done. So that's nice. Bugs. Really, you don't get that many bugs in the semi-hydroponics. They don't really like it. So that's cool. Less bugs is good, right? And once the plant has adjusted, I have noticed that I've had very, very little, if any, root rot. It doesn't happen. Once the plant has adjusted, you might have some die-off in the beginning when you first put your plant into semi-hydro. Certain plants tended to do that, but not all. Like my Melatoniopsis did not have root rot, and my Papedilums did not have root rot going in. But some plants, there was an Oncidium that did rot some of its roots, but the new roots came back better than ever. And lots of air to the roots. You know, we poke all those holes in our pots to make sure that the air gets to the roots. Well, with this, I have one here. With these beads, there's very little compacting going on, so there's a lot of air. Come here. Oh, just a big tough girl. Just a big tough girl. I don't show her very much. This is my strong, tough girl. Good girl. Alright, so I think it looks nice. I like these little beads. I think it's kind of decorative and artsy. I like how it looks. You can reuse it. So, say you have a plant, you gave it away, or maybe your plant died or whatever. You can take the leca beads, you can take these little guys, and you can wash them in boiling water or disinfect them, whatever you want to do. I like to just use boiling water. And you can reuse them. That's pretty nice, right? So, in a way, eco-friendly. harvesting them is not eco-friendly though. The clay that we use is actually mined, and that would be a con. Actually, let's talk about cons now. So that goes over the pros. These things can be reused, and they don't break down over time, but they don't hold any nutritional value whatsoever, and very few, if any, microorganisms are going to be living in this stuff. So you have to use synthetic fertilizers for this. You can't try to be organic. You need to use synthetic fertilizers, water soluble. The cons. Like a beads bounce. These suckers friggin' bounce. Maybe I can show you. They bounce and roll. They bounce and roll. And when you're potting or repotting, or if you knock it over, those beads are going to bounce away. They're going to fall on the ground. They're going to roll away. You're going to step on them, and it hurts like Legos. I don't know if anybody's ever stepped on Legos. So that was the next one. Like a beads bounce, they roll away, and you step on them, and it hurts. The other one is, if you have just repotted like this one, if I were to take this one and knock it over, the whole plant would come out, and I'd have to repot it. It's not a big deal, but it is kind of a pain in the ass. That did happen to one of my Phalaenopsis. I kind of knocked it over, not Phalaenopsis, half petalum. I knocked it over, and the whole plant just fell everywhere, and I had to repot it. Not a big deal, it's just an annoyance. And, oh, I already went over that. Some of the old roots will rot. Big deal. They'll grow new ones that are better. Oh, yeah, but, you know, if your roots rot, it kind of sets the plant back a little bit. Oh, more fertilizers should be used. You should really fertilize every time you water. It's not necessary, but it's a good habit to get into. It's what I've been doing now, and I think it's helping my plants a lot more. Oh, algae buildup. Ew. That gross green crap that gets in the bottom. Now, it can be fixed or helped by putting your plants in a decorative pot. So, like, this one's not. This is a bulbophyllum. I did not put it in semi-hydro. But it's in a decorative pot, so doing something like that helps keep your algae grossness down, because algae can kind of stink. And for me, semi-hydroponics is not good for warm growers. It's not good for them. They don't like it. For me, in my environment. So, Phalaenopsis, it's been a big fail. The top part of the plant here, so the top layer here, it tends to dry out a lot faster than other mediums, which can be a problem for some orchids, but it can also be beneficial for other orchids. Like, I think my Cattleya enjoys the drying out period at the top. And I'm trying, doing a little experiment there, clay and clay. But for the what are they called? The lady slippers. They don't like to be dry on the top. So I have started putting a moss layer around the top, and that's been helping. Also, when you're using hydroponics, semi-hydroponics, anything hydroponically that's not in soil, you want to consider pH. And you want a lower pH. So this means that rainwater or reverse osmosis water should be used. It doesn't have to be, but if we want to get technical, you should use it. Let's check them out real quick. And so here are my plants. Bolera, doing awesome. It really likes it. All those roots that are in here are all brand new. When I put this plant in, I did a video on it. It literally had like hardly any roots at all. I had to stake it. So, semi-hydroponics, saved that plant. This one I just put into semi-hydro, and it's giving out a new growth, but the old bulbs look kind of wrinkly. So we'll see how that goes. Melatoniopsis, loving it. Melatoniopsis, check out those beautiful roots. Awesome. And this one here is an Encyclia Cortadora, which roots were rotting and now they're looking a lot better. And up here, here's what I was talking about. Using the moss to keep a nice moist layer. And look, it also helps keep moisture in as well, if that's a problem in your climate. Like for me, I live where it's pretty dry. So, I have, this is a lady slipper, half petalum, and I do have a spike on the way. I have new roots. It's doing awesome. I've got, this is the one Phalaenopsis that actually was saved by semi-hydro. This is a really tough plant. I tried to kill it, but it's saying thank you for letting me live. Oh yes, I like to look at this one. This one back here was pretty sad when I first got it, and got a lot of roots growing down into the hydro. So that plant likes it, and that's an Oncidium type. Now we have Brassia, one of the first to go into semi-hydro, and look at those beautiful roots. This one transferred over to semi-hydro without a hitch. And dun 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 dun, we have spikes. Yes. Miltoniopsis. You can see the old roots, which actually are not rotten. They're just covered in algae, which is gross. But we have a lot of new roots in there, looking great. And dun 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 dun, dun. Flowers on the way. This is a Bellera. Belleras tend to like it. It was growing in a conventional bark medium, and these roots didn't like going in. I don't know. This plant's crazy, so I was like, well, fine. Let's see how you do in the semi-hydro. No real update on that. I'll have to do an update on it later. So yeah, that's me. That's what I've learned growing semi-hydroponically. I do recommend it. Just consider where you live and the type of environment you have and the type of plants and their needs, and take that into consideration when you are putting plants into semi-hydro, because I rotted and killed, actually, a Phalaenopsis putting it into semi-hydro. So yeah. But then I saved this one. So it really depends on your plants. So thanks for watching, and that's my update. A year of semi-hydro and going strong. I like it. I'm sticking to it. I still have a big Oncidium, and my Zygopetalum and my Zygonesia are not in semi-hydroponics. They're still in the old bark medium because they're doing really well in it, and I just, if it's not broke, why fix it, right? Got that kind of attitude going on. So yeah. But for the other plants, it's been doing really well. And I do think that you should try it and see what you think. But just take your environment into consideration. So, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.